So this is part two of the astrology, and I know that the first one went on for a little bit. I have no idea what I'm going to name these. Probably a catch up something. But had to go get me something to eat and had to get myself refreshed a little bit. I didn't realize that I had gotten so hungry and I was having a sugar crash. So yeah, so now we can talk again. We're refreshed and everything, and hopefully you were able to get you a refreshment and we can dive back into this astrology. So where we left off was Mercury. Mercury retrograde is one of those it's one of those things that it gets a lot of different kind of it, it is a lot of people see it as a bad thing. A lot of people just see it as whatever. But for me, Mercury goes retrograde regularly. It's nothing rare. It's nothing out of the ordinary. So I don't understand. I don't understand the height of it. So, but I will tell you that Mercury retrograde is not a big bad thing. Mercury retrograde, like I stated in the previous show, some in Indian astrology, they caution against a lot of different things. But for me, I understand that life goes on. You will not hear me say, don't do this. You will hear me caution you to be cautious, just like with anything. If you are signing documents, if you're signing some kind of, if you're having to do that, just make sure that you're reading, just make sure that you're paying attention. And you should be doing this too. But Mercury, retrograde is telling us to slow down and reconsider things, especially when you had these squares with Saturn, with the Sun and Mars. This is more about slowing down for a little bit, catch your breath. We live in a world that, we want instant everything, and that's not life. That is not how this life is designed to work in this reality. So, we have to understand that. We have to be patient with that. We have to understand that the unfolding of life. And Mercury goes retrograde on December the 13th and ends on January the 1st of 2024. So right now we are in what is considered Mercury shadow. And this is where we're already feeling that retrograde intensity. So for me, Mercury in his shadow, his retrograde shadow, so far, I've had to get a new dryer, and we've had to get two tires put on my son's car. At work, I've had difficulties in communications. There's been blocks, not necessarily not happening, but there has been blocks, and there have been different kind of barriers that have kept me from going forward and from doing what I need to do. And it's all in communication. So it's been rather interesting. So, and you could be, I will say that he's in a square with Neptune right now that's in Pisces. So you could be sensing that things are maybe off. Things are just not as they should be. They just don't seem right. And that's because you don't have all the details right now. Again, Mercury slows you down so that you can gather those details, so you can be able to make those best decisions for yourself. With the moon and the sun and Mars that had a square with Saturn, we are being guided to check in with ourselves, to make sure that we are not repeating our past. And as humans, we tend to do that. We tend to relive our past because we don't learn from the lessons. And when we have people that want to rewrite history, want to rewrite things as they want them to be, not as truth, but as they want them to be, because the victors always write the history, right? When we have that going on, it makes it easy for us to repeat the past. So we have to be careful of that. Remember, Remember the experience and the wisdom that you have. That is one thing that experience gives us, is it gives us wisdom. It shows us that, you know what, this way didn't, or this way did work. It shows us that, you know, this way did not work. That never works out the way we want it to. So we need to think about how we can do things in a better way that will bring about, you know, the highest good for all, for not just for us, but also for other people. So if this is in our immediate life, we're looking at our family, we're looking at that sort of thing. But in the outside, we also need to be, you know, think about society. If something is good for you, I mean, and harming others, how is that a good thing? So that is one thing that we're having to look at. Remember, you know, that all these experience that you have are teaching you life lessons, and those are very important to use in your future. Like, okay, so I won't do that next time. You know, when I touch the hot stove, it burns me, so I won't touch it next time. That kind of concept. So I will say that Pisces, the Pisces energy is strengthening, and that is what's hitting our ego. So Saturn is in Pisces, and when he had that square, you know, they're all feeling this. He's setting opposite. He's over in Pisces, and he's setting opposite of those, and he's having that little, like, an off square. Okay, so, and I'm talking about this because even though it's off and it's not really a square, it's still impacting that, because he is still shining that energy that way. So it is, Pisces energy will hit our ego, and that's Sagittarius. Okay, Sagittarius is independent. It says, I got this. But Pisces is asking us if we truly do. And or are we repeating the same mistakes that we've made in the past? Do we really have this? Let's look at this again, because I think you're missing something. And that's the thing with Mercury retrograde, is that you're missing something. So you need to go back and you need to look at this in a different way. Do you truly have this? Are you truly moving forward, or are you just repeating the same mistakes that you've made before? And we don't want to do that. Saturn is connected to karma, and we got to remember that. So your intuition is suggesting that you know, your intuition, it may be having you second guess yourself, you know, but you really need to listen to that intuition. So it's like your mind is saying one thing, and while you are being inspired to do another, if that makes sense. Then your intuition is wanting to guide you in a new direction. So we're being pulled here. We're being pulled by our intuition. We're being pulled by our mind as well as our intuition. So we have to make sure, we have to get all these on the same page. We have a T-square with these mutable signs that's happening, and mutable signs, Sagittarius, Pisces, and Gemini, and it's a T-square. Okay, so when we have that, we're missing one. A T-square is like, you know, a T, but we have Sagittarius, Pisces, and Gemini that are mutable signs, but we're missing one, and that is Virgo. Virgo is about being practical as well. Is saying, wait a minute, is this practical? Is this best thing for us? Whenever, you know, Virgo is about our health. It's the health of the body, and it's about making those decisions that are healthy for us. So we have to consider that. Gemini likes to go back and forth. Gemini is the twins, and they are opposites. But this is one thing that Gemini energy is known for, is to be wishy-washy. It goes back and forth. It can't make up its mind. It's this way. You know, and this Gemini, it likes that discussion. Okay. Gemini is, you know, Mercury is the ruler of Gemini. So when we are going back and forth, and this could be like the left and the right brain, um, discussing things, right? Going back and forth in between the different, the left and the right brain. So this is telling us that before we speak, we need to think. Something is coming forward that you may not have known. And the moon, the last full moon has really illuminated that other story. The Gemini full moon illuminated the other story. So now it seems that, we found out some information and we may be questioning things, and we're like, what feels right? Because sometimes some of these things that I'm hearing, I can hear someone sit there and say one thing and then say something right out of their mouth, just contradicting what they just said. So yeah, if your body is your body, then your body is your body, right? So Saturn in Pisces reminds us of what we have learned through experience and the wisdom that we've gained from those experiences. So how will you use that wisdom to make new choices? How can you use it to see things differently? Everybody says knowledge is power. Knowledge is not power. Knowledge is a wonderful thing, but it's useless if you're not applying it. Okay, if you're not acting on it. And the only way that we gain wisdom is through experience. So how can you know about something if you've never experienced it? If you've never walked, what is it? Don't judge a man until you've walked a mile in his shoes. That's the same kind of thing. Don't judge something until you have walked in its shoes, until you have experienced that energy. You cannot judge it. And that's what a lot of people seem to be doing right now. And it's really sad because it's causing a disconnect. It's causing a big disconnect. So don't get pulled back into something that you're past. And this could be very highlighted. It could be like, you're going on and it's something from the past could pop up, and it could bring up a situation where you're having to act like that. And that's not who you are anymore. That's not the life that you're living. So it could bring something from our past that we thought we were over too. That's one thing. And, or bring something up that, it wasn't what you thought it was going to be. That is another aspect of this energy. So part of the higher expression of Mercury is to let go of a perspective of what you thought was right. And Sagittarius is about our ego, and it wants to be right. It is right, and Sagittarius is right over right over right. They are right. But are they? Higher expression of Sagittarius is being right at different levels. So the story shifts, okay, to bring about some turbulences. So, it is a time through the rest of this month to be very mentally agile, to be open to new information of what has been covered up, what now has been made known through the various forms of clarity that have been shown to us. And a lot of people, I see this, a lot of people, they have their mind made up about something or someone, and for some reason they can't change it. They're set. And that's really sad, because when we get stuck like that, then we stop growing. And when we stop growing, we start dying. So we have to, remember that. We have to be agile. We have to, understand what being flexible, what being fluid is about. With Mars, we can see fighting over ideologies, what we think is right. We want to go and conquer, right? But the mind asks us, is this really what we want? So I want to talk about Venus, the other divine lover. Venus is Venus signs are Libra and Taurus, and she was in a sextile with Mercury. And this, when she was in Libra, she was having a nice little sextile with Libra. This was aiding us in communication and relationships. Venus has been active, very much so. She recently had a conjunction with the South Node in Libra, and on the 28th, which was a very rare event. That was a rare astrological event, and it was one that was very, very impactful. Venus is the ruler of Libra, and she's been with the she's catching up with the South Node. She's actually the ruler of the South Node. So this is strong energy that we have to remember. And the South Node is about endings. In Indian astrology, the lunar nodes are seen as a demon or a dragon, and it states that the South Node, which is Ketu, it represents spirituality, the spiritual evolution of the soul. It is a worldly malefic, but spiritually beneficial. It generally matures at 48 years old, and when the soul begins to turn towards salvation. All right. So now we're going into some mysteries. We're going into the mysteries of how life is. You know, we go through different transitions. We only see one thing, and it's really sad that we don't see these different aspects. You know, just like women have different levels, so do men. Of course, I am not a man, so I cannot talk about the male mysteries because I have not lived those. But this is, you know, one of those things that we have to understand about experience. Okay. So before I go into deeper into that, I want to cover this part of this energy and in Libra and what was going on. So with the South Node in Libra, it is telling us that it is time to take these social experiences and help us to look at what we find pleasure in. Is it helping us or is it hindering us? Remember, Venus is about pleasure. And when she has caught up with the South Node, we are looking at those things that we need to resist. The South Node is what we leave behind, letting go. So these things that we find pleasure in, these things that we find joy in, these things that we love, are these really helping us or are they hindering us from evolving? They are showing us where we are too rigid and where we have been too inflexible or too strict about our vision of how we think relationships should be. And this is one thing I see a lot. We have all of these beautiful Hollywood movies that have these love stories that starts out, they're starstruck, they fall in love, and then something happens, and then they have to go their separate ways, but then they end up back together, and everything is just hunky-dory, and everything is beautiful, and life is golden, blah, blah, blah. But in actuality, that's a movie. That's not life. Life is messy. Life can be complicated. It's different avenues. And we have to get our idea of what we think a relationship should be. We can't look at a movie and say, well, he doesn't tell me that I'm beautiful every day and kisses my hand every day, so he doesn't love me. And I'm just using that as an example, but we have to release that kind of thinking of this is how life is supposed to be, because supposed to be. If everybody is different and everybody has different wants and different needs, then how can it be supposed to be? This is not talking about abuse or anything like that. I'm talking about just plain downright expecting perfectionism. So, and this is also this is also touching into perfectionism, because your perfectionism is making you too anxious. That's that whole thing. When we feel like it has to be a certain way, it has to be this way, it has to be that way, that takes us into anxiety, looking too far in the future, that sort of thing. So we need to transform that so we can find true happiness. We want happiness and harmony in our life. Well, we're going to have to let go of of what we've been taught is the right way. So this is helping us define ourselves in relationships, and bringing it into more of a spiritualization of it. So Venus offers a moment of refined vision, and during this time, after this movement, now she's in Scorpio, this could be ending of relationships, maybe those relationships that aren't working out the way that you thought they should work out, that sort of thing. Maybe you're seeing the reality of it. People, you've heard of falling in love with the idea. Some people can be in love with the idea of a certain relationship and not seeing the trueness of that relationship. So and these are relationships that need to end, but you just kind of hang on, but this is a mature realization. This is something that, you're like, this relationship has kind of run its course, and, it's just best if we part ways. And this is something that will enhance your life in the long run. So, back on the 3rd of December, Venus squared Pluto, and she's coming off of her meeting with the South Node, which is rare, like I said. The last historical period for these placements was August of 1986. And with Venus, remember, she's going into the pleasures. What is this? Venus is about pleasure, love, all that kind of stuff. She's about the finer things in life. And she's asking us, are these things helping us or are they hurting us? So what was going on in 1986? There's several things going on. So let's see. It was in August of 86 with Pluto and it was around September and October of that. It was August, September, October. That was when Venus went retrograde. And it was in October in 86. Okay. And then she came back and she met up with the South Node and Pluto, but it took place in Scorpio at that time. Okay. So there at that time in 1986, she stationed retrograde motion with Pluto, then went back and met with the South Node again. So it was like a repeat. So she met with the South Node, met it with Pluto, went retrograde, moved back to the South Node again. The South Node and Pluto are about endings. Okay. Pluto is the underworld. It is about destruction, destroying the old in order to create the new. So when she moved back to the South Node, which is more about letting go, she was doing a lot of work here. So there, when she stationed retrograde, we have to think about her domain, pleasure. Okay. So operating within this Venetian energy, that was actually the time when Freddie Mercury tested positive for HIV. The Phantom of the Opera debuted in the UK. And what this kind of energy is kind of like Beauty and the Beast kind of energy, with Venus being beautiful. She's the goddess of love and beauty and all that beautiful, wonderful stuff. And then Pluto being the beast. So this is kind of like that kind of energy, that kind of the Beauty and the Beast, the beautiful life versus this destruction. Okay. Now, we also, around that time, had it was when the Oprah Winfrey show debuted. or launched, I should say. And she became a pop culture spiritual icon for many people. And so that was a big time. Again, that's touching on that. And that's touching on that Venusian energy. And I'm sure there's more. I mean, and I know I've read so many, and I grabbed a few because what I was wanting to touch on was pleasure, those things that give us pleasure as well as spirituality. It teaches us to learn from our past, and it teaches us not to prevent it, not to do it in the future. But it also tells us that, it reminds us that we need to, as we are having fun, we need to balance that out and make sure that we are not overdoing it. Again, this is the beauty and beast kind of energy. Ren Butler, he states that this meeting is archetypically a deep and intense, renewing and regenerating energy. This is the power of love and the interplaying of beauty and the beast. And this is very much the light and dark energy that was experienced when she met up with the South Node. So also, this is a refining type energy. It's refining love, and it's a deepening of love. It's, you know, it's escaping the status quo of love, and it's digging down deep into the trenches of love, okay, into the better or for worse kind of love. It is and this is a purifying fire here. This is very purifying, and to everything related to pleasure. And that includes, like, you know, the pictures that have been imposed on us of how relationships should be. It is Ren Butler states that this is Venus and Pluto is an unrealistic view that you have had on relationships for whatever reason. So we are getting a doubling down of purifying our thoughts on pleasure and how relationships work. And this is really important, because that is one thing that has really been showing us a lot of stuff. I've seen people, well, you know what, they're just a thorn in my side, I'm getting rid of them. Getting rid of somebody? Seriously? Are you listening to yourself talk? I have heard, and I understand, I'm not talking about abuse. I'm not talking about the extremes. I'm talking about the middle of the road here. When you're having a disagreement with somebody and they have a different opinion, to throw them away is very close-minded. People are different. If you want someone to love you and all of your imperfection, your perfectly imperfections, as we see nowadays, then you need to show that back to others. If you want tolerance, then you need to practice tolerance with others. You know, loving someone is not an easy thing. It's not an easy thing. It's work. Relationships are work. I don't care how easy they may seem. There's going to be a time in your life where you're going to have to work in that relationship. And this is about stepping up and facing this. You know, here's where Saturn comes in. Stepping up and facing these challenges and work through them. People throw people away nowadays. It's like they say, I love you, you're my sister, this, that, and the other. One small bump in the road and you're dead to me. What? That's not love. That is not love at all. And we have so many spiritual people out here that are talking about this stuff. And this is another thing that I see. I mean, it's like you're saying one thing, love, unconditional love. Oh, just drop them. They're dead to you. Just, you know, whatever. Well, obviously that's conditional love. You can't love unconditional and then be conditional. We have to start really thinking before we speak. And this is, again, what I just talked about with Mercury. we have to think before we speak. Is what we're saying really in alignment with what we think? Because I'm seeing that a lot. And I'm seeing, like, I've seen people whom I look up to and I thought were these, wonderful, someone to look up to, right? Not really a hero, but someone to look up to. And to say, you know what, that's a wonderful person right there. That is great. But then I've seen them do this time and time again. And it's just like, do you even know your own thoughts anymore? And I will say that we're so bombarded with social media and so many things that's coming at us. Do we really know? This is the dark time of the year. This is the perfect time to pull in and to unplug and to understand what we feel. A principle that is being highlighted right now is about purifying our thoughts on what pleasure is and how relationships work. And I feel it is one of stop seeking out the material for pleasure, and to seek harmony and pleasure from within. With social media and all this internet stuff that we have, it's great that we get to connect. But when someone is sitting behind a computer screen, oh, well, they don't have any kind of, they're detached from it. How can you be in relationships when you're just completely detached? There's so many people. In my day, whenever you wanted to say something to somebody, you had to go say it to their face. And that's a different thing. It's almost like the social media and stuff has taken the humanness away from others, and we're not recognizing our humanity. And that's scary. That is a very scary thing. Again, and this is pleasure. So there's a lot of things I could cover here. I'm going to move on. So we can't treat people like things and just throw them away whenever whenever the second that trouble happens. Oh, something happens, let's just throw them away and get rid of it. Experiencing life is about working through these challenges and seeing them through. And that is the beauty. That is Mars stepping up and saying, you know what? I love this person. I love this relationship. And you know what? It's not perfect, but it fits into me and my ideals and my beliefs and what I need. It may not be Susie Q's idea of a relationship down the road and how she thinks my relationship should be. It's mine. We got to stop looking outside of that. We got to stop looking at these reality shows and thinking that they're real life. We got to stop looking at these love movies and thinking that they're real life. It's Hollywood movies. They're fake. They're supposed to be perfect. Life isn't. Life is about experience, and it's facing problems. It's working through them and growing through them. And when you work through problems with someone, you're in a relationship together, and you actually grow through them, that brings a deepening of a relationship that you just couldn't imagine. I have, in my relationship, there is so much that we have worked through and we have gone through, and it has really deepened our relationship. So, yeah, even I experience these things. I'm not excluded from all of this. I go through these things as well. So when Venus conjunct the South Node, then her square with Pluto is really wanting us to grow from our experiences and to look toward the long-term future. Is this going to be good for my long term, this relationship that I'm having? And it may not, it may be a relationship that you have to release. It may not in the long run. It may be one based, on exterior things. It may be a relationship like that. So it's about growing through the experiences and learning not to make those same mistakes. And not just, I'm not talking about lust. I'm not talking about the right now and the immediate temporary feelings of love. People confuse lust and love all the time. I'm talking about love, long-term stability, something that's lasting, something that's deep and spiritually connected. That is what I'm talking about. And, being spiritually connected may not happen in the way that you've been taught to believe that this spiritual connection happens either. It happens in its own way. It's not going to be what so-and-so says or what some movie says. When you connect spiritually, you connect spiritually on different levels. Again, Sagittarius is about the truth on the many different levels because we are not the same. We may be all one. We may be all one humanity, but we are all individual people. We all have individual paths and journeys that we are walking, and we are here to experience different things in our life. We can't lose that vision. That's why conformity is not a good thing. It's never been a good thing. When you're all conformed and we're all alike, life is boring. I like life to be different. I like to have, I like the fact that people wear different clothes. I like the fact that people have different hair color. I like that all of these different things, diversity, that's what makes up life. And that is the beauty of life too. So I will say that Venus, this past week, and I'm recording this on December the 8th. So this past week, Venus had a meeting with Jupiter. So anytime Venus and Jupiter have like back-to-back transits, we are infused with extra positive energy. And that's why I'm saying the rest of this month is really going to be, December is going to be lighter than November and October. It's going to be very welcomed month. So a couple of days ago, Jupiter had a trine with Mercury, and then now Jupiter is opposing Venus, and Jupiter and Venus this opposition are encouraging you to take a break and enjoy yourself. So Jupiter trine Mercury, especially about 1 week before the Mercury retrograde, this is very, very uplifting. He is giving us, he's like, look, things are going on, but Jupiter is like Santa Claus, okay? Jupiter is all about, he's very generous. Jupiter he wants bigger and better. And we have to be careful in Jupiter because we can be a little too extravagant. But, yeah, he wants everybody to be happy. He wants everybody to have a good time. He wants everybody to just do their best and to be the best they can be. I will say during this time, it was let's say a couple days ago, this week going into the next, it's a good time to study and research. And, this placement has us wide open. Jupiter is in Taurus, but his sign is Sagittarius, and that is where Mercury is. So this is it's a good time to have your mind opened, and it's a good time to expand your knowledge, to grow. It's a good time that negotiations will go well, as well as legal matters. So hopefully negotiations can start in some of the wars that we're having right now. Hopefully, I know that there's another one in the brew. Venezuela is doing its thing. It's just, that is so, it's so old world minded, So, this is a good time that negotiations can go well, and hopefully that they will. You may feel lighter energy. It's a very joyful energy. It's fortune. Jupiter's about fortune. Optimism, you could feel more optimist than normal. There could be some good news arriving for you, good feelings. are easy, you know, you feel good, your thoughts are highly positive. It's just an overall nice and positive way. Jupiter, whenever he's there, he is going to offer some wonderful optimism, joy, and happiness. And again, he wants you to enjoy life. He wants you to rest and relax and just feel, right? And I will say that Jupiter is going to be the planet of the year in 2024. Every major planet between, every major transit between the two planets in, let me say this over. Every major transit between two planets in 2024 is going to involve Jupiter. And this is really good. So this will create a series of celestial gateways that will help you awaken, because that's what Jupiter does. He will higher, you'll see in the bigger picture. He wants you to awaken to the immense impact of what your beliefs are. Look at your beliefs. Also, manifestation. He wants you to work at being a co-creator instead of the victim. Are you playing the victim, or are you going to be a co-creator in your life? Also, this is about touching on, letting you know that you are the one that determines your happiness. We have all worked with people who just, no matter what, they're just never happy. It's just, they will always find, I don't care how good something is, they will always find something wrong with it. And that's a killer mindset. That is a killer mindset. When things are happening, look at how you can make them better. If you don't like the way things are going, what can you do to improve the situation? Complaining about it and being a negative energy is not going to do it. Your experience is as good or as bad as you want it to be. And if you want to have control in your life, then have control in your life. Sure. Is every day for me great? No. There are days, I have a regular job just like majority of you do. I go to work. I'm not feeling good. I don't want to be there. I would rather do something else, but my day is what I make it to be. If I want it to be that way, it'll be that way, and it'll be terrible. And I'm like, nope, it's not going to go this way. And then when I have challenges that arise, I say, how can I make this better? How can I grow from this? Because I have control of me. Is that easy? No. Is it easier said than done? Yes. So it's again, this goes in to your sovereignty and taking control and willing things. Your focus, what are you focused on? We're getting down deep into taking responsibility for ourselves. And that's one of the things, when people talk to me about Reiki energy, they're like, oh my goodness, why aren't you doing this more? Whatever. Because people really don't want to do what they need to do to heal. I don't know how many people that they're talking to me about stuff, and then I look at their diet and I'm like, well, what are you doing? And they say, well, I drink a lot of soda. I drink at least 2 liters a day. Well, first of all, you need to take that out. Well, no, I can't do that. Okay, then. You see what I'm saying? Do you really want to do this? Do you? So you got to do what you need to do. Are these pleasures hurting you? Are they helping you? This is what we're looking at. We have to grow beyond. We also have to, take control of our own happiness. If we're not happy, then what do you need to do to make yourself happy? Do you take alone time? Do you spend quality time with yourself? Do you take a self-care time, what they call it now? What do you do with that? Do you meditate? Do you go sit by yourself for 5 minutes? It's hard sometimes, especially if you're a young mother. Oh, if you are a single mother, I feel you. Or if you're a single parent, I should say. I know that there's a lot of single dads out there, that are having to do it on their own too. Are you taking time for yourself? You need to. Even if it's 5 minutes, trust me, I have taken 5 minutes in the shower just to breathe. Just give me 5 minutes so I can just breathe by myself. So we have to take control. And also with taking control of our lives is about setting boundaries. There's where Saturn comes in. He says, set these boundaries for yourself. Setting those boundaries isn't a bad thing. Boundaries are not a bad thing. Boundaries protect you from me and me from you. That's a good thing. So 2024 is it's going to be a time where we are releasing what we have been attached to, like especially like the materialistic kind of mundane kind of thing, and also about what you see in front of you and what you believe to be true. And it's about opening your mind up to see a bigger truth. Um, and allowing the divine, God, goddess, creator, whatever you want to call it, allowing that to empower your every breath and every moment. Every one of us contains, or every living thing in this planet contains that God spark, everything. And when you look at another person, knowing you are a soul and you have a body, and you have to look at another person as in they are a soul and they have a body. They may not be in the same place as you, and that's okay. But you have to see the bigger picture here. It's not about your ego. It's not about your ego. And that's really, when I talk about 2024, I talked about the strength card. And this is connecting that. It's about balancing that animalistic, primal side of yourself with your higher self. So you will also discover that there's nothing that you cannot create as long as you are focusing on it and you are aligning with that energy. There's nothing you cannot create. Nothing. Did I say it's easy? No. So there's a lot in 2024 that's going to be shifting, and there's a lot that's going to be changing and transforming in very unusual ways. Venus, between the 4th of December and the 10th, so it's going on right now, Venus in Scorpio is trining Saturn in Pisces. So Venus is the goddess of love and beauty, harmony, peace, money, and resources. So Saturn is solid. He's realistic. He's sobering. He is about time, and with Venus, and it's about quality time too, but he's also about karma. And Mars and Sagittarius, we can see the conflict that's going on. Sometimes this can get taken out of control, but Venus is learning a new way of being resourceful right now. She's went through a little bit of in Scorpio, she's transforming. So she's learning new ways at being resourceful, and she's finding out that the Scorpio saying of still waters run deep. So she is in Scorpio, she's more willing to go with the flow and allowing the unfolding of the mysteries of the unknown. So this, again, is big flow energy, and it's one where we need to be open and flow with these things. You can't control the exterior. You can control you and your reaction. So we need to be alchemists and take that and transform it into something that is beneficial to us. Saturn is very enduring. This is about having enduring love. This is about love that endures the test of time. Venus makes a trine to Vesta right now, and Venus is hanging out with Pallas Athena in Scorpio, and that's kind of dangerous. Venus with Pallas Athena is about getting what we want, or having victory in war, okay, but at what cost? So with Venus in Scorpio, this is about backroom deals happening to end wars, or I should say to win wars. Saturn is with the asteroid Gungung, which is, I thought this was interesting, which is the water god. He's a sea serpent that destroyed the world, which is referring to the last deluge. So we could see some destruction near water, destruction having to do with water, the sea, ocean. So we can watch that. Venus is trying with Vesta. I want to go back to this just a second because this is coming to me. Vesta is the flame of devotion. She was pure. She is about devotion. And this isn't being devoted to something because you have to be. This is being devoted to something because you want to be. She was a high priestess. She was in the temple, a temple high priestess. So this is about being devoted in a spiritual way, and is about, with Venus in Vesta, it is about a sacred devotion that shows us a deeper calling. And so this is spiritual. This is connected to the soul. So this is awesome. And the last time that we had this energy with Venus and Saturn and Vesta, this last time that we had this energy was 93, 94, and 95. So remember, with Saturn, it's about every 30 years. So when Venus and Saturn, they're having this, it was back in 93, 94, 95 is when they had this. So we won't have this again for another 30 years. So take advantage of this. This is some really powerful energy. I want to talk about the archetypes really quick, but I will say that Venus is going to stay in Scorpio for the majority of December, and it's going to be a time to delight in things that are dark, mysterious, and unconventional. So she's definitely going to be very resourceful in unconditional ways and looking for love and relationships that are deeper than the surface, that will show her more of who she is, so that she can be more of who she is, but in a transformed way, of true, more pure, a more pure aspect. Now, when we partner Venus and this is by Ren Butler too, Venus and Saturn together, it's about relationships that are solid, like solid, working relationships that are strong and have a very strong foundation. It's also about having harmony in relationships, feeling a sense of commitment. And also, Saturn can be about work. So how can you make your work more pleasurable as well as enduring, right? That kind of thing. It's about finding that pleasure. What can you do to make it more pleasurable? Again, you're taking control of your life. Now, we will be having our Sagittarius new moon on December the 12th, 2023 at 20 degrees and 40 seconds of Sagittarius. It'll be at 6:32 p.m. Eastern Time. A new moon is when the sun and the moon meet up in the same sign. And this is the time when the sky is the darkest. So the new moon is a place of pure potential. This is a new beginning. It's a time to ask yourself, what do we want to create during this new moon cycle? Or what inspires me to move forward? What can, bring the inspiration for me to move forward? Where I can take my life experiences and I can take those experiences, applying them to my future to make it the highest benefit for myself. Mars is still behind the sun, and he's behind all of these inner planets, so he's pushing us forward. He's giving us that energy. So this new moon is going to have a little bit of an extra oomph to it. And Mars met up with the sun when he had his cazimi at 24 degrees of Scorpio. That happens every 2 years. So there is now a greater separation between Mars and the sun, and he's trailing behind. So it's almost like he's picking up the pieces and then pushing them forward. They're like, okay, they left this, they got this, I got to get this, let's push these forward. These need to go forward as well. So we have the support for us in our life. This is telling us that we are having the support that we need to go forward in our life. We're just going to have to ask for it. It's not, we can't expect it to fall in our lap. We have support to push forward in something. This could be a project. This could be starting a new business, anything like that, something you want to go forward with. And Sagittarius is about taking our knowledge forward and expanding it beyond the horizon. And it's seeing things from a higher perspective, and also knowing that there's many possibilities and tuning into those. So Sag energy is very trusting. It has faith that everything will work out for the best. So maybe it was something that you wanted to do that was out of reach for you at one time. Maybe this is the time that you'll be able to grasp that. The sun and the moon are making a trine to the North Node in Aries. So this is really calling us to trust in something that is calling to us personally, like a soul calling. Aries is where we summon courage and energy. So it wants us to follow what has our name on it. It's something that keeps calling you, something that says, this is meant for you. This is meant for you. You need to do this. You need to do this. Do it. So this is a strong energy for a new start. Chiron is in Aries as well. So and he is making a trine to the sun, the moon, and Mars. It's urging us to process all that we have went through this year, what we've healed through, to process that, to understand what we have really healed from. It could be things where you have to understand things on a deeper level of who you are. This energy wants you to go for it. So this new moon could give you the energy to move forward with an idea. It's some kind of a new beginning, but from a healed place. Like I said before, it's about something that might have been out of reach for you at one time, but now you're saying, you know what, this is for me now. Aries is all about action, and he wants you to go for it, but Aries doesn't want you to let the past hold you back. The past is over. Take that knowledge, move it forward. It's about rising from those ashes like the phoenix, and really transforming your life into something for your highest potential. So open yourself to a new beginning. Open yourself to newness. Venus is there urging us to flow, to be flexible. Remember, Sagittarius is mutable. So it's mutable fire. So these are transforming flame that will burn off the old to allow you to move into the new. We're being shown here, especially with Mercury getting ready to go retrograde, see things in a new way. Slow down a little bit. You don't have to act so fast. Saturn in its highest potential is being open to the future and open to how things play out. It's not being attached to the way that we think things should play out and how we think things should be. So it's about being open, allowing things to work out the way it should. While Sagittarius, when he's in his detriment, he's always right. This is the way things should work out. This is the way things should be. That's Sagittarius in his detriment. But when he is operating in his highest potential, he is open to all outcomes and knowing that this is going to be the outcome that's going to be best for him and how this is playing out. How can I play this to my best ability, to my best possible outcome? How can I do that? So we are being urged to open our mind a little bit and look higher. Don't open our mind so much that our brains fall out, but to see that higher perspective. And just like the archer, you know, he pulls back the bow and he's aiming, he's focusing. Focus. Shoot that arrow just a little bit higher. This new moon will make a square with Neptune in Pisces. That is the land of illusion, confusion, delusion. But it's also, and it's about dreams, and it's about not knowing what is real or not. This further urges us to trust in ourselves. Stop looking outside of yourself for answers. And I will say this will be a time where it's like divine timing here. When you're looking at all of this, you know, we have to be careful and not getting caught up in our ego. And we have to understand that sometimes the playing out of things is what's important. It's the unfolding, the experiencing it. Trust in yourself. This is an internal battle right now between the ego and intuition. So with the sun in Sagittarius, and then here comes the moon. The moon is feminine. Feminine is flowing energy. It's trusting in the intuition. It's feeling the self, right? Neptune holds our fears, and it's about our fears of trusting not only others, but ourselves and the unknown. We are going to be universally pushed to move forward. Remember, Mars is back there still pushing us forward. He's like, you got to go, you got to go. Sagittarius's planet is Jupiter, which is now retrograde in Taurus, and this is within the same degree point that the Taurus lunar eclipse happened on October the 28th. So here again, remember in the first recording, I talked about the last full moon and having that that Taurus full moon, having that eclipse energy. This is taking us back to that. Jupiter is about, and he's bringing us support, but not only just support, but spiritual support. Like, I have your back. You got this. And he offers us different ways to find solutions to our problems. He's like, okay, remember, he sees the broader picture. So this could be, okay, this is not working, but, you know, look at this way, look at this way, look at this way. He's a problem solver. Jupiter wants you to find the solution to the problem, and he's giving us wonderful, wonderful support in doing that. Jupiter will station direct on the 30th of December, and that will help energy move better. Indeed. Jupiter in Taurus, it connects us to our values, what is truly valuable to us, and things that's going to last for the long term. And it feels like right now we're being tested with that. So you're going to have to pay attention to your feelings during this time, especially during this new moon coming up. If you feel like you should go for it, then go for it. Jupiter is trining Mercury, which will station retrograde on the 13th, and he is slowing down. So he is telling us to slow down and do not rush. That is the whole thing about Mercury in retrograde. Slow down. It's all about the re's. Remember, recuperate, reconnect, reprioritize, those kind of things. You don't have to complete the story right now. You don't have to finish it right now. Take your time. Mercury wants to know what to expect. That's just Mercury. He wants to know what to expect. He's fast moving. You know, that's just how he operates. But Jupiter is giving us the energy and support to trust in that unknown, to trust in we may not have all the answers. So something physical that you're so this could be something physical that you're going through, that you are thinking through. Maybe you're doing something, something you're reading. So this is the intellect, something you're studying, something that, maybe school, maybe a new project, something like that. Maybe it's not going as fast as you think it should go. Slow down. Slow down. Don't overthink it. And then, don't let it stop you. Okay, that's the biggest thing. Do not let these challenges stop you. Push through with them. Mercury is also sextiling Venus, who is conjunct Pallas Athena. Like I said, Pallas Athena is a strategist. It's about she's about planning things out. And in Scorpio, we're really being pulled to something that we really want. So, we're feeling something that has been lying underneath the surface, the dormant, that's being lit up again. We're being inspired by, we're being pulled again, and it's saying it's time. It's time. So there is a plan. Okay. But the story's coming together. It may not be going as fast as you want it to go, but it's coming together. Things, you have to make sure that you're keeping your focus, though. Keep yourself in alignment with that. Keep yourself in alignment with what you want. You don't have to, and also, with Pallas Athena, this is a strategist. She is a strategist. There we go. I've been talking too much today. But, Pallas Athena she's all about strategy. So she may not share everything. So everything may not be clear right now, and that's okay. Keep moving forward. There's a bigger picture here. There's a bigger picture, and there's something that's connecting to our future. So keep going forward. Sagittarius energy, again, is very strong here. And a Sagittarius is risk-taking energy. So, and it's telling you that if you don't try it, then you'll never know, right? And that's my whole thing. If you don't try it, how will you know? My mom, she's very picky about things. And I'll say to her the different dishes that I'm eating, and she'll be like, oh, and I'm like, hey, don't knock it till you try it. And she's like, yeah, you're right. So, and I want to talk about our South Node really quick. And I'm going to be closing this up really soon because I am so tired of talking. And I'm so sorry that, that I've had to do it into two pieces here, but there's just so much information I want to share. The South Node is at 21 degrees of Libra right now, which is where we had the last solar eclipse on October the 14th. And moving forward, doing things differently. That's that energy. It's about, it's telling us that knowledge doesn't always equal power, right? Knowledge is, power is applying that knowledge. Willing and applying that knowledge is where the power is. And we're ready to move forward with these energies. We really are. There's many things externally that try to hold us back, but again, we have to stop those. We have power to do that. So we're ready to go forward, and the energies that will lift us up. And there's Jupiter wanting us to rise above it all. He wants, that energy is wanting to help us grow above it, and go get those things that have our that have our name on it. Those things that call you, that your soul calls you to, it has your name on it. Go for it. Like your purpose, for example. That's what I'm talking about. People who have a purpose, and go for it. Jupiter is about having great things in different directions. And I did a reading the other day, and this is when we began having this trine energy, and it was the 7 of Cups. It's like, you can achieve what you want, but you got to decide. You can't just send yourself out different ways. You've got to decide what you want. This is the last new moon of our year. And so make it great. Make it great. It's a Sagittarius new moon. Oh my goodness. The sky's the limit. Jupiter is blessing us. He is having these aspects that are really trying to uplift us and show us that there is potential there. We are the ones that stand in our way. And the North Node will also conjoin Chiron in February of 24. So that's going to be a different kind of healing. That's going to be a healing journey right now. Chiron is our wounded healer. And in Aries, it's about healing healing ourselves in those deeper ways, those deep wounds from the past that kind of lie dormant in there. Now I want to say interesting. This is interesting, and this is something that I noticed too. And sometimes when you're writing astrology and you're doing this, you see things and things will grab your attention. This is one. We began 2023 with a Mercury retrograde. Not kidding you. And we are ending 2023 with a Mercury retrograde. So in December, he will begin his retrograde at 8 degrees of Capricorn, which is where he's stationed direct on January 2023. So he's going to be picking up where he left off. Yeah, hang on, guys. It's going to get better. Remember, this isn't bad. It can be the unknown. Take your power back. Take your sovereignty back. Jupiter is there helping us. Mars has given us the energy to push us through. Venus and Scorpio, and then now we're having this new moon in Sagittarius. We are really being called to really step into our power, to learn from our experiences, releasing all the it should have, would have, could have's, releasing all that, being flexible, trusting in ourselves and trusting in God, the universe, creator, whatever you want to call it, that things are going to be working out. But you have to focus and you have to do your work. And Mars is right there too. And he is so willing to sacrifice himself for what he believes in and what he loves. Are you? Are you willing to do what it takes in order to get what you want? Are you willing to work through and understand that all those challenges are beauty within itself? Yeah. So that is it, guys. And I'm so sorry it's been so long since I've been back on, and I'm so sorry for these very long. I will be, things in my life are changing a little bit, so I should be able to have more videos and more updates, astrological updates that aren't so long. And I won't be stumbling over my words so much and all that good stuff. So stay tuned, guys. I'm still here and I'm still trucking along and reading this astrology. If you ever have any questions, please ask. I will answer you as soon as I can. I mean, I may not answer you that second. I don't live on social media. I don't live on my messenger. I actually have a life that I live, which I hope you do as well. And I urge you to get out and experience life, to get out in nature and feel the healing energies that Earth has to offer you. But I promise you, I will answer you as soon as I can. I promise you I will. And that is why I'm actually doing these videos, because I have been getting questions. I have been getting messages, and I thought that it's time for an update. So I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. I do appreciate it. And I just appreciate your time. And I hope this helps you. I hope that you can understand this. And I hope that you can apply this to the best of your ability to have the best life that you can possibly have, to live life to its utmost potential. And you know what? Let's rise above what the mundane world wants us to bicker about and be divisive about. Let's see a bigger picture here. Let's come together as humanity, and let's make this a better place, guys. Many blessings to you all, and I'll see you next time.